Hello, everybody. My name is Jimmy, and welcome here to the Wine with Jimmy channel. Thank you for clicking by, I suppose it would be. This is a vinous wine channel, really to help everybody in the world enjoy wine more. Life is too short to drink bad wine. And yes, it really is designed for those of you studying wine, wanting to really learn more about it specifically for examinations. Achtung! Welcome to a really difficult section, which is complex, more complex than probably it needs to be, and that is the German wine law and legislation. So this is going to be challenging because we are going through a transitional phase in German wine legislation as well, which I will discuss. So let's have a look. We are in series 2, in fact, sorry, here. We're on this one. So I'm actually going to put, I wonder if I could do a shape around this. Let's have a look. I'm going to do a line. I'm going to do a nice red line that goes underneath it. So we're doing series 2 here on wine laws, legislation, and business. And here we are on the first one. So we're on a 6-part series here for the wine law, legislation, and business. So we're going to go through wine laws, which are the more lower wine laws. Then we'll go into Prädikatswein, which is quite traditional at the high end. We'll talk about terms indicating sweetness on a label. The big area for change is part 4, looking at the geographical labeling system, which brings into play the recent changes, 2021 changes, which will be fully adhered to by 2026. Then we've got the Verband Deutsche Prädikatsweingüter, which is VDP, and then general wine business at the end of this list. Any questions, please do get in touch. You can do so by commenting on this video below. Maybe you've experienced German labeling. Maybe you've been to Germany. What do you think about the new changes? Are you happy, or do you just find Germany very confusing? Do get in touch. Make sure you click like and subscribe. So let's go into wine laws. So complex, but we're going to look at this. So there is a list here that says Deutsche Vine, Landwein, Qualitätswein. What we are finding with the new changes, in fact, is that Prädikatswein, which I put at the bottom there, is now being included within Qualitätswein. So it's an older, more traditional system, but it's included within Qualitätswein. In this video specifically, this number 1 standalone video, I'm just going to go through Deutsche Vine, Landvine, and Qualitätswein without Prädikatswein. I'll do that at the later section, the next video, for example. Now, Germany's structured wine laws date back to 1971. That's where most of the foundation comes from. There are wine laws that predate it, because 71 was the 5th wine laws. And there have been many since 71 as well, but the big structure comes from 1971. But with all of these amendments and changes, there hasn't been an exit. It's kind of layers upon layers of things happening with Germany. And that's created a system for most consumers, which is very confusing. There's a lot of words. People joke about it in classes. When I teach wine of Germany, they joke about how many different words they can find on a German wine label. The latest changes have happened in 2021, January 2021, and they will be fully ratified by 2026. And they're going to be discussed in these videos as well. So it's going to seem a little bit chaotic. I would suggest you sit back, you listen, you absorb, and you re-watch these videos, because they are challenging to both teach and challenging to absorb, I suppose would be right. Now, the fundamental principle, which is a really good principle behind German classification, is to classify grapes according to their must weight at harvest, the Uxler system. So how much must weight, which is actually a very good system, right? About the quality, the sugar in the grapes. There are few other rules regarding grape growing and winemaking. But as previously explained, there are limited restrictions on yields. There are 4 quality levels, and I've put that up here: Deutsche Vine, Landvine, Qualitätswein, Prädikatswein. So I'm going to go through those first three in this lineup just now. So first of all, Deutsche Vine. This is a tiny production of proportion, of annual production. If you combine this one with the next category, which is called Landvine, it's about 4 or 5% of German total wine production. So it's very, very small. Deutsche Vine was formerly known as Tafelwein, and it's basically wine without geographical indication, but it will say Germany on the label, right? Deutsche Vine, for example. These are wines that are inexpensive, designed to be drunk young, of course, and the label may now state the vintage and grape variety. That can happen, although probably still not so common. Landvine, a little step up. This was introduced in the 1980s, and it's the German equivalent of a PGI, Protected Geographical Indication. So this comes from one of Germany's 26 defined Landvine areas, like the Ahrtaler Landvine, or more famously, the Rheingauer Landvine. At least 85% of the grapes must originate from the Landvine region that is stated on the label. And in most regions, but not all, wines can only be produced in a Trocken or Halbtrocken style. Okay, I'll discuss that more on the section on labels and terms indicating sweetness. I think that's video 4. There are a few places that allow sweeter wine production as well. Landvine is a very small production, as I mentioned before, along with Deutsche Vine. And the label may state the name of the Landvine regions where the grapes are grown, but not the village or vineyard name. Like we've got here, we have Ahrtaler Landvine, telling us that's from the Ahr area. It's a Deutsche Vine, that's the classification. Oh, that's Deutsche Vine, actually. Sorry, that should be Landvine. Oh, it's just saying German wine, that's fine. And then off-dry rosé in style. Next up, Qualitätswein. So this is a PDO category, Protected Designation of Origin. This is a category with less stringent regulations than the Prädikatswein, but with more than the two previous that we talked about, which is Deutsche Vine and Landvine. Now, whereas Deutsche Vine is anywhere in Germany, Landvine is from one of the 26 Landvine PGIs. Half that number again, and you get the wine growing areas. So Qualitätswein must be made in one of the 13 wine growing areas, which are called Anbaugebiete. Anbaugebiete. Let me put that up on the slide for you. It's going to come up in, well, we'll do it in black. There you go. Anbaugebiete. Okay. And that name must appear on the label. So here you've got Qualitätswein. Nachher is the Anbaugebiete. All right. There you go. So it must be mentioned. And of course, other ones include Mosel, Ahr, Rheingau, Rheinhessen, Baden, Franken, and so on. The minimum must weight ranges between 50 to 72 degrees Oxler, depending on the region. Let me scribble that down as well. And the wine may be enriched, depending on the area it is in. Again, what part of the EU it falls in, what zone it falls in. 50 to 72 degree Oxler. Wines can be made in all styles. This is Schlinkhaus Riesling, Qualitätswein, and 9.5 is probably going to have a little bit of sugar, this one. What else can we talk about? So The majority of everyday drinking and high volume wines come under this category. Qualitätswein is by far the largest. But there are, of course, high quality examples, as an increasing number of producers are following the Verband Deutsche Prädikatsweinguters lead. That's the VDP, which we will talk about, I think, on video 5. So they are following that lead by labeling their wines dry as Qualitätswein Trocken. So this is a Qualitätswein. It says here, Deutsche Qualitätswein at the bottom. Some other things here as well. Gutsabfüllung means estate bottled. Okay. The winery's name here. Here's the Almbaugebiete, which is Nahe. The producer is Emmerich Schoedleber. Mineral Riesling Trocken, which is our word for dry, of course. So there tends to be, a lot of producers are making a distinct difference where Prädikatswein tends to make sweeter wines. They focus their sweet wine production on Prädikatswein. And then Qualitätswein is what they utilize for their dry production. Though it doesn't need to be that way, because you can make dry examples in Prädikatswein for Cabernet Trocken, Spätlese Trocken, Auslese Trocken, for example. The other things you may find on Qualitätswein. So wines at Qualitätswein level and above must go through laboratory analysis and also a tasting panel, a blind tasting panel. Those that pass this go through a process of being received an AP number. So they're given an AP number. That's the Amtliche Prüfungsnummer, AP number. So that's Amtliche Prüfungsnummer. That's what this bit means here. And then there's a load of digits after that. That is their barcode, I suppose. That must appear on the label. It's a 10 to 12 digit number that indicates where, when the wine was tasted, the location of the vineyard, and the bottler's specific lot number. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. This is the Julian Hart Windrischer Olicksberg Riesling Spätlese. Okay, long number here that starts with 2. The 2 you can see is isolated. So the 2 is for the testing station, which is Wittlich. So that's where it was tasted, assessed. 596 that comes after it is the code for the village of the producer. And 596 is Peasport. The next number that comes after that is 738, which is the unique code for each estate. So once you register your estate, your Weingut, you are given one of these. So Julian Hart is 738. Then 008, you see here, which has been partially circled. This is the lot number. So it's a serial number and different one for each bottling. And then 14, which is the year of submission. So as most wines are commercialized, sold in the year after the vintage, this is typically a number plus 1. So this, as you can see here, is the 2013 vintage, but it's sold the year after, so they're giving it the number 14. Okay, so actually, if you learn these, which is not going to happen, is it really? You're able to tell just by reading a load of numbers what exactly, where it's been tested, where it's from. The only things you couldn't find out really about it, though, would be, of course, its grape variety, which may be quite important, of course. But there you are. I suppose with a lot number, you might be able to find out something around that. Okay, so I just have laid down some foundations at this point around some of the lesser known to begin with, Deutsche Vine, Landvine, and Qualitätswein, which is very important. I'm going to go into Prädikatswein next because it's always going to feature as German wine, although it does fall under different umbrellas today. But I'll go through that next. So part 2, Prädikatswein, please do join me next. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please get in touch. You can do so by commenting on this video below. Maybe you've been to Germany, maybe you've explored, Maybe you enjoy the labeling. You find it very efficient. Maybe you find it a struggle. Please do get in touch. Make sure you click like and subscribe. And if you do find yourself in the UK, of course, please do come and say hello for a glass, or bottle. I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now. Dankeschön.